Hello, good night, good evening. Thanks for everybody listening to this tonight. I just want to review the protocols and go over some new directives on the calls we've been doing lately. I think we got a little lax, and currently right now we're in the midst of the infection. As of right now, we have 6 confirmed positive cases in the town of Clymer, and I think that might be the tip of the iceberg. Most of these haven't been tested, and so I just want to review a few things, make sure we're being safe. And like I've said before in the previous YouTube, my major concern is the safety of the Clymer Fire Department personnel. I'd like to thank you for listening, and I'd like to thank you for being you. I was listening to a medical director giving a report, not from our area, but he was from New York State. It was a training thing that I had and I went through, and he said there's no such thing as an emergency call anymore. And I believe he's right. You know, firemen don't go to a fire, grab a hose, and run into the fire without personal protective equipment on. And that's what we should, and I'm sorry I itched my nose. That's what we gotta be doing. Slow down. Once you get on scene, or en route to the scene, slow down, take care of yourself first. You know, don the proper protective equipment. The PIDS calls that we're getting, that's just a heads up that dispatch is doing. But we should consider every single call now to be a possible COVID-19 call. Every call you go on, there's 3 things you have to have on prior to patient contact. That's gloves, a face protection, goggles or whatever, and an N95 mask. Now, the goggles, I know people hate the goggles, and they should. They foam up, they're fog up, they're not that easy to work with. I do have full face shields. There's a bunch in the EMS room. If you want one, get one. If you can't find one in there, contact me. I'll find one for you. So that being said, proper PPE is the most important thing that we can don prior to entering the call. Gowns are not part of the PPE. I know we gowned up the other night. That's okay. But you don't have to gown up unless you're doing an intervention. Even if you know that patient is a positive COVID patient, gowns are not necessary. The route of infection is the face. It's the eyes, the nose, the mouth. If wearing a gown makes life better for you, by all means wear a gown. But it's not necessary unless you're doing an intervention. Hopefully I'm not misleading people. Any questions, give me a call. I want to have a new first in bag. The first in bag that we have right now has got too much stuff in it. I want to get a first in bag. I got it ordered. It's everything you do is back ordered right now. It's not here yet. It's going to be a fanny pack. It's going to have the bare essentials in it. The bare essentials, I mean, you're going to BP cuff, pulse ox, glaucometer, gloves, and a procedure mask. Okay, so we get a call, you go on the call. No one makes patient contact unless an EMT gets there. The first EMT there is responsible for deciding if they want to make patient contact or not. If it's an ALS call or a BLS call, it doesn't make any difference. If a basic EMT is on scene first and they make contact, that's fine. You go in, you make contact with the patient from 6 feet away, you interview the patient, you see what's going on. Then you go from there. If you go to the patient, the first thing you're going to do is put a procedure mask on the patient and do further assessments and vital signs. If you need help, then you go back to the door and say, I need help. The main thing is that we do not want to expose any more people as possible. You know, keep it to a bare minimum. That being said, I've been told that we really don't want more than 2 EMTs in the back of the ambulance. Now, if you got an arrest going on or things like that and you need help, that's another thing. But if you've got a difficulty breathing, if you've got a patient that you're transporting, the less people we have in the back of the rig, the safer we are. That being said, People that get on scene, responders, EMTs, or whatever, that are donning proper PPE equipment, when you get on scene, you know, like I said, gloves, mask, face mask, face shields, and N95 mask. When you're done with the call, whether you're going to drive the ambulance or whether you're going to go home, all your personal equipment, all your PPE equipment should be disposed of in this hazmat bag. And this thing is still empty, so I'm a poor teacher. I guess I didn't explain this well enough. All your gloves, any gowns, any personally protective equipment that you have should be doffed, taken off properly. Make sure you don't touch the inside of your hands. Put it in that hazmat bag, and we have these foam dispensers for hand sanitizers, which are great. So that should be done. If you're driving the ambulance, you should not be driving the ambulance with gloves on. If you read the protocols, it says once you enter the cab and go to the front of the cab of the ambulance, you should be wearing your mask. Once you're in the ambulance, you can take the mask off. But you have no gowns, no gloves, no whatever. Once you get out of that ambulance and we're at the receiving facility, the driver or whoever the responders that are in the cab would come back to this compartment and put gloves on. Put your mask on, put your face shield back on. Keep the exposure to the patient as limited as possible. Anyone that is on scene, regardless of what personal protective equipment you're using, you dispose of that before you get in the private vehicle. Do not get in the vehicle with gowns on, gloves on, anything on. Once you're in that vehicle should be as clean as possible and non-contaminated. If you make a mistake and you contaminate a vehicle, your personal vehicle or the ambulance or whatever, we have also in this compartment a defogger that we can set up and fog the entire vehicle. We can fog people. It's a disinfectant that's for food contact. It's antiviral, whatever. We can decontaminate anything, including the inside of the rig. Again, we want to keep exposure in the rig inside the treatment area of the ambulance to a bare minimum. That's kind of why I have a separate in bag. I don't want people sliding the door opening to get the glucometer out. Everything you need is in there. However, if you have to do an intervention is where you're going to manage an airway. And that can be a simple nebulizer, or it could be a CPAP, or it could be intubation, or even COVID-19 testing. When you're doing an intervention, you got to gown up. First of all, you want, if possible, contact medical control. Tell them what's going on. They're going to give you the okay to go ahead and do it. And if you can't get them, go ahead and do it anyways, because I've been there, done that. But you're going to have to stop the vehicle, put a gown on, everyone in the back's got a gown on, and then do that intervention. That intervention can be done en route, but it has to be completed on receiving. If it's not done on receiving and it's a long intervention, you're going to discontinue that intervention. If you have just a little bit of time left before that's completed, go ahead and complete it, but do not allow anyone to open up any doors. One thing I did forget, and we had a little exercise the other night. As soon as you're on scene or you're decided to go en route, you're on scene, or shortly thereafter en route, and you're going to a facility and you have a possible PIDS call, whether it's confirmed or not, you got to call the receiving facility. Even if the people have called that receiving facility, that's not good enough. We have to do it. You give them the heads up. You'll say, I'm 10, I'm 20 minutes out. you know, closer to arrival, I'll give you another heads up call with the vital signs and whatever. But please let them know as soon as you know you're going, let them know. Okay. One thing I found with patients, I was telling Brian, is it seems like a common thing, these patients all have an itchy nose. They want to itch their nose all the time. They're just reaching for their nose. And I had one lady pull her IV out because she was itching her nose. So just a heads up, if they got an itchy nose, you're looking for trouble. If you are exposed, and you will be, there's a new directive out. I will be notified and Ed will be notified. As soon as they know, we will be contacted. Whether it's Pennsylvania, New York, we will be notified that we had transport of a positive patient. Now that's no big deal. If you wore proper PPEs and you're comfortable that you didn't break protocols, you're good to go. Don't spaz out or get excited about it. However, if you want to get tested, I'll make sure you can get tested. And tomorrow, Wednesday, at Chautauqua Produce in North Clymer, there's testing. It can be scheduled or walk-in, so no problem. I think it's, I know it's from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. tomorrow at Chautauqua Produce. Walk-ins are called, whatever. Just if you want to get tested, get tested. It's a nasal swab. It's not the most comfortable thing, but whatever. Okay, the new directive that's out that I have to notify, I have to log in all patients that have had 10 minutes of contact or so with the patient. I would ask that anyone doing EMS charts, that in the final page, the final entry on page 8, after everything's all said and done, and assuming I'm not on the call, or even if I am, I want a log of each individual that was on the call, especially if they had 10 minutes of patient contact. I have to keep a log of that, notify the Department of Health. And I think that's about all I have. I'm just doing this tonight because I'm just concerned for your safety. Please be careful, please be smart, please use the facilities here. There's lots of gloves in there, there's lots of disinfectants. There's, I got 50 hazmat bags. I'm really fortunate that I'm able to get most of the equipment. And if I can't, if there's something you need, you let me know. I'm available 24/7, even if I'm not in Clymer. I'm listening to every call. I do have communications with me, and if you got questions, call me or call anybody. And once again, I really appreciate what you do, and be smart, be safe, and we'll get through this. Have a good day, have a good life. Thank you.